Alrighty. Just let this catch up. Whoever's in here first, if you could please let me know if you can hear me. That would be fantastic. I'm a little bit early. Hello, Dawn. Can you hear me? Woohoo! 2 years of doing classes. And Dawn, you've been here since day one. Awesome. Are you going to be making this one, Dawn? Hi, Diane. Are you going to be making this one, Diane? Yeah, I know you are. I'm freezing. I cannot get warm for the life of me today. Hi, Cynthia. Okay, who is cutting with me today? Diane's cutting with me. Okay. Said we will be cutting it different than the pattern just because we are, and you waited, I love it, Diane, because we are making it into a bound bag. So there are a few things that are different. Okay, Cynthia, are you cutting with me today? Ooh, Dawn's working on something a little special right now. I bet you, oh, I know what it is. Dawn is testing the new Pin It Up Patterns pattern. Do you plan on making this one, Dawn? Eventually? Okay, Cynthia's cutting with me as well. Did everybody see that I posted the tutorial? Things we're going to do different than the tutorial is in class, we are not going to be using foam as our main stabilizer. We're going to use either Decovil Light or EBFuse Heavy, whichever you have. It's a secret. Dawn might make this one. Okay. It's a fast one. It's a good one. Coco says hi. It is 3 o'clock, so she wants to be fed, so she's yelling at Riley right now. So if you decide you want to do foam as your main stabilizer, it is done slightly different than if we were going to be like what we're going to do in class. But if you decide you want to use foam, follow along the tutorial for the foam sections. We will not be going over the foam in class, so you will want to watch that to see when you would be putting your foam on. With it being bound, oh, do you know what? Let me go grab the bag. I forgot the bag over here. One sec. With it being bound, even with our little trick that Anna taught us to get the foam out of the seam allowances, these corners here and where this join is, the foam makes it really thick and it wants to shift really bad when you are sewing it together. So I mean, I got through it, but I am on an industrial. If I was on a domestic, I'm not sure I would have gotten through it. At the same time, I used a really thick marine vinyl, but I think it's going to be better with Decovil Light or EBFuse Heavy outside of those seam allowances. So I'm not going to cut the interfacing with you today. Interfacing is going to be homework. So all you would do is take your main pattern pieces and make sure you have a 1/2 inch in from each of the sides. Okay, so that makes sense. Talking about interfacing. I am adding in purse feet. Purse feet isn't in the pattern, but I think the purse feet look really nice on it. The lining pockets, I'm doing my way, the way I do every single lining pocket that I do, as you guys know. So again, lining pockets, when it comes time for that, you will be doing on your own, whether you'll do it whichever is your preferred method for those lining pockets. So, and again, anybody that needs a little extra help with the lining pockets, you can always contact me and we can get together and do something for sure. Any questions about interfacing? So yeah, I'm going to be using EBFuse Heavy. In the bottom, I'm going to be using Decovil Heavy for my base. Some of our pattern pieces are a little bit different. We have to square up our base piece. It's not an oval bottom. Yes, I did use 3/4 inch hardware. So if you decide to use 1 inch hardware, you are going to have to change the cutting of your connector pieces here in your handles. And the reason I didn't use 1 inch hardware was because I didn't want to have to resize the connectors. Now, that's another thing I did different, but I will explain how to do connectors as per the pattern or this way. I did raw edge connectors just because it is my preferred way, but Jenny did a really cool thing, and you'll be able to see how it is. You'll fuse your interfacing on, and then they fold in. And that's going to be homework, deciding which way you want to do your connectors. So it's really easy to follow in there, and I can always help you. But yes, I did use 3/4 inch hardware, but you definitely could use 1 inch. But if you're using 1 inch, see where the connector is here? This connector here is an overlay. So your connector would be probably about the same width as your whole connector overlay here, which isn't terrible. But I used 3/4 inch. I was going to use 1 inch, but it's just something about the 3/4 inch really suits the bag, I find. It's kind of dainty, and it just ended up working really well having the thinner strap. So yes, I did use 3/4 inch hardware. Any other questions? But definitely you can change it to 1 inch. Just make sure you're changing your measurements to be that 1 inch. This one, I kind of tried to see if we could add a crossbody in here, but because it sits so low, it'll go upside down if we put a crossbody strap on it. So this bag cannot have a crossbody strap. It will not work. Will not, just because the gusset sits so low, and then it gets top heavy and it'll just flip upside down. So I did do my handles to a shoulder. I did them 28 inches rather than the 16 inches in the pattern, so you can decide if you want what length you want your handles to be to when we get to cutting that out. Is everybody doing theirs in vinyl? Just let it catch up. I think I'm running about a minute or so ahead of everybody. We'll just give it another 3 minutes or so to see if anybody else is joining in. You'll need to order 3/4 inch hardware, Cynthia. We will need it for next class, so next week. But if you want to do 1 inch, you can too. It's just when we come to cutting those pieces, make sure you're cutting them to accommodate the extra. And then just know that it's going to take up, it'll probably be the full width of our connector overlay piece here as well. So any other questions before we get started? What is the date today? It's the 5th, right? March 5th? March 5th. I believe it's already March. Holy moly. And everybody saw the discount codes for next month's bags. We're doing a Knotted Threads double feature. So we have 10% off with the Rosy Sling and the Aries bag with Brandy Saves 10, all small letters. So I'll be doing my exterior in vinyl and my lining in waterproof canvas. I will be doing a waterproof canvas binding for mine. So yes, remember you will have to get binding. So get whatever kind of binding is your preferred method for binding, whether it's waterproof canvas. We will be cutting our waterproof canvas binding to 1 1/4 inches just to help accommodate getting over thick seams. If you're using bias tape, pre-made bias tape, I would get the extra wide bias tape. And fold over elastic would definitely have to be the 1 inch fold over elastic if you're doing that one. Excuse me, 3/4 inch fold over elastic will not do the job for you. You will need at least the 1 inch fold over elastic. Another minute or so. Any other questions before we get started? And then we will go over the pattern pieces that we are going to change. You're having foot surgery in April, Cynthia? Oh my goodness. Hopefully that'll make your foot feel better. At least you'll have the classes. You could come and hang out with us if you wanted to, Cynthia, and then you have them to make the bag later. Okay, so let's get started. Let me put the book away. And then we'll talk pieces. I'm dragging today. I am tired and I'm cold. I do not know why. Okay, where do I want to go? I want this one, split table. Okay. Hey Lexi, how are you? Lexi, will you be cutting this one out with us today? Trying to. How's the little one doing? Okay, so let's talk pattern pieces that we will be changing. And maybe we will just do it on here. So for our main panels, this corner here, we want to round it. Now this is not, hope you aren't getting sick. Who's sick? I'm not sick. Oh no, I'm not getting sick. I'm just tired. So this bottom corner here, we have to slightly round, and I kind of saved it in the tutorial. I cut my actual pattern or my actual fabric and rounded it. I'm going to actually do the pattern piece before we go ahead and sew this up. So this is not an exact science. We will be trimming. Oh, Lexi, you are cutting. Excellent. We will be trimming this even more when it comes to binding, but at least we'll get somewhat of a rounded shape here. So all I did was take just a bobbin and put it into this corner of the pattern piece and draw it, and you will see, and again, we will still be adjusting this later. Can you guys see that? I know you couldn't quite see what I was doing. I just kind of put it on and rounded that corner. And then, oh my gosh, I'm going to use my fabric scissors to cut paper, and then just round that corner. You can eyeball it and round it as well. Again, this is not perfect. See how it's rounded? But we will fix that later. But it just gives us a basic shape for that. We definitely do not want that pointed edge there. Lexi is cutting with us. Any questions about that? So if everybody wants to take that pattern piece and just round that corner, and then let me know when you're done that, and then we will move to the next pattern piece that we are changing. Oh, while you're at it, you will want to do the same thing. Well, your stabilizer piece, you'll want to do the same thing for the one that we're cutting out of our seam allowances. Now to do my stabilizer piece, I actually went and printed the main panel, and I think I printed it at like 90%. So I have a piece for cutting my stabilizer outside of the seam allowances. I think I did 90%. I might have did 85%, but again, you'll want it to be slightly smaller. So you can decide if you want to cut your stabilizer out with this and then trim it off. Eyeballing it later on is completely up to you. Okay, so everybody let me know when they've rounded that corner. Hi, Kim. Are you going to be cutting this one out with us today? So we've already talked about some of the changes. You may have to go back to see that. Diane's done. And Cynthia's done. Perfect. How about you, Lexi? If I get too far ahead, please do stop me. Now the other pattern piece that we have to change, we will be doing ruler measurements for these. So for our bottom panel and our bottom stabilizer, all you're going to do is we want straight corners. So we're going to fill this in. So the new measurements are you still at work, Kim? That's okay. The new measurements we will do with ruler measurements. So for the stabilizer piece, we will be cutting 11.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. If you want to take note of that for when you go to do homework for your Decovil Heavy or your Peltex piece. So your bottom panel stabilizer, again, you can take this pattern piece and just square it up if you wanted to, or you can do a measurement, a rectangular measurement of 11.5 by 4 3/4. That is for the bottom stabilizer. Okay, Lexi, no problem. So I'm not cutting that with you guys today. That'll be homework to cut your Peltex or your Decovil Heavy piece to those measurements. And then this bottom panel, we will definitely do it when we get to cutting it. But if you want to take note that our bottom panel, when we round those corners, will end up measuring 12.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches. But we'll go over that as well. Okay. So where are my instructions? Oh, there they are. We want to look, there's not really a cutting chart, I guess. Sort of on page 1. Oh, and the only other thing we will be changing, we will be doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance throughout until we get to the point of sewing the main panels onto the gusset. Then we will be doing a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. But otherwise, the seam allowance is 1/2 inch like she has in the pattern until we get to sewing the panels onto the zipper gusset. Okay? Any questions? I know it seems like a lot. Okay. So, I decided I'm going to do the How You Doin' bag with Friends vinyl from Fangirl Fabrics. So this actually says How You Doin' on it. So I thought it was perfect to do the How You Doin' bag with this. So first thing we are going to do is take our main panel piece. If it's a directional fabric like mine, make sure you're going the right way. And we are going to draw 2 of these on our main fabric on the back. So this will be drawing this new pattern piece with that rounded corner. And again, for homework, because we're not going to do foam with this. If you want to do foam, you can watch the tutorial, but we will be fusing on the back of this for homework. Decovil Heavy or EBFuse Heavy or something, or sorry, Decovil Light or EBFuse Heavy, something with something equivalent to the back of this outside of the seam allowances. Will you let us know when a different seam? Yes, I will, Cynthia. Absolutely will. Flip it over and draw the other half. So we need 2 of these. one. I think I can fit a second one up here. I'm going to do that. And actually, I'm going to do it down here because I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. Just keep continuing on. Flip it over and do the other side. And this is all we need of this fabric, our accent fabric. Unless you want to do your gussets with the same thing. I did my gussets and my zipper panels with my solid vinyl, so. Okay. Once we have those, we can go ahead and cut them out. This is a pretty fast cutout. So again, for homework, you will fuse your fusible interfacing, your either Decovil Light, EBFuse Heavy, or equivalent outside of the seam allowances. So 1/2 inch outside of the seam allowances. It's gonna be cute. This is such a great pattern for showcasing those really, really fun vinyls. So we're all done with this one. Tempted to make some matching wallets for these purses before I list them for sale. We'll see. I have to find time to do all that, so. All right, so everybody let me know when you are all done that. All right, where am I going here? I'll put you back here for now. Let me know when you're done that, and then we'll move on to our main vinyl. So again, I only did a print vinyl on my front and my back, and the rest I did in a solid vinyl. In the pattern, she has this in the print. You can do whatever you like. Diane's done. Cynthia's done. Okay. Thirsty. Okay. So I'm using a scrap vinyl here. Okay, so what we want to do next, I guess we can mark down what we have finished. We've done our 2 main panels out in our exterior fabric. And that's where you'll see she has her zipper panels done in the exterior fabric too, but I'm doing it in my contrast fabric. Okay. So I'm going to start first with drawing my handles. I'm going to do my handles to 28 inches. You can do whatever you want in the pattern. She has them to 16 inches, so that would make it into a handbag. Shoulder bag, I think, works well at 28 to 30, depending on how long you like your handles. So you can decide. I'm doing mine to 28 inches. So because I am doing 3/4 inch hardware, I'm going to cut my handles to 3 inches by 28 inches. If you are doing 1 inch hardware, then cut it 4 inches by whatever width you want it to be. But I'm following the pattern pretty much for this. So I'm going to do 3/4 inch. So I'm going to draw them out at 3 inches. So that's 24. I'll go to 28. Add on 4 more. we will need 2 of them. I'm also going to mark my center line at the same time, so it's already done for when we go to make our straps later. So my center line will be a 1.5. Or 2, depending on what width you're doing yours. And do the same for the second. And center line. Okay, so there are my straps done for my handles. So I'm going to do all the measured pieces first, or all like the square pieces first, and then we'll go in and do the other ones. So let me know when you're done that. Diane's done. Another minute or so. Okay, next we're going to draw out our bottom panel. So this is the one, this piece here. We do not want these curved edges. So you are going to cut out, you can either put this down like so, and then you can just kind of even it out like this. So it's not a curved corner, or you can cut 12.5 by 5 3/4. 12.5 by 5 3/4 is the measurement I came up with. My piece is not straight. Okay, 12.5. Did I say 5 3/4? And draw that out. So the good news is we aren't doing an oval bottom. Yay! That is our bottom piece. Bottom. And then we want to do 4 vinyl connectors that are 1.5 by 2.5 inches as per the pattern. That's if you are doing 3/4 inch, you will do them 1.5 by 2.5. If you are doing a 1 inch hardware, you will do 2 by 2.5. So we need to draw out 4 of those. And do your center line down the center for later, so it's done. 4 connectors. And that is done. And our bottom panel is done. All right, so let me know when you get to there. And then we're going to top connectors. Diane's done. Oh, my phone's not charging. Come on, charge. There we go. Any questions so far? Diane, are you doing 3/4 inch hardware? Actually, we won't do the connectors just yet because we're going to talk about those a little bit. We'll do this next. We're not making the bottom panel smaller. We are squaring up the corners so it's not oval. Because if it's oval, we won't be able to bind it. So it's not smaller. We're just squaring it up. Here, I'll kind of give you a visual. If you can see my lines here. So here's my bottom panel here. And I set it down so this is here. So it's the same width or same length and the same width everywhere. But see here how we have, we're not curving it up. We've squared them up. Because you can't bind an oval bottom. It's impossible. Got it? Okay. Next, we're going to need our vinyl overlays. Now, she has a couple different ways of doing the vinyl overlays. I'm doing the raw edge version. She also has, if you want to do cotton, but I think we're all doing vinyl bags. So this will be raw edges fine. Oh, I lost my train of thought. If you're doing cotton, follow along with the instructions in the pattern. So we want to do these mirrored to one another. So the way we're going to ensure they're mirrored is I'm going to take my first one. I'm going to place my pattern piece upside down and trace it out. So we need 2 sets of these. So that's one there. And then I'm going to put my pattern piece over so I know I definitely have a set mirrored to one another, and then draw another one. These are these pieces here is what we're doing. Now, homework for these is if you are edge painting, you can go ahead and you can edge paint this curvy side. You don't have to edge paint the other 2 sides, just this curvy side, as that is all that's going to show. Oops, I put my pattern piece kind of wonky. What did I do? Let me try this again. I didn't draw it straight. I slipped, that's why. There we go. There we go. And then you want to do the same thing with another set. So you've got 2 sets mirrored to one another. And on the bottom of these, because it's slightly larger, put a B along the bottom part. Trust me, it'll be helpful later on. because it's really hard to differentiate which is the side and which is the bottom. You definitely want to know where your bottom is so your things match up. So we mark that down. It'll save us some heartache later on. Maybe not heartache, a headache. So I just marked a B along the bottom edge of all four. So that is my 4 vinyl overlays mirrored to one another. You know when you're done with that, maybe I'm only going to use this scrap piece. That would be very nice. Diane's good. Another minute or so. Perfect. Okay, so this is another change we need to do for binding. So you'll have noticed that you have a pattern piece A, which looks like this, which is your exterior zipper panel. You will also have a pattern piece B, which is your lining zipper panel. You do not need your pattern piece B, which is the lining zipper panel. Instead, we're going to cut 2 exterior with A and 2 lining with A. Now, the reason for that is pattern piece B was written for a drop-in lining, so it's wider this way so you can fold the lining over. So because we aren't doing a drop-in lining, we need our zipper panels to be the same size, okay? So we're gonna draw out 2 of these for our exterior, and then we'll use the same pattern piece when we cut the lining later on. Okay, flip it on the fold. Now for this pattern piece for the exterior, you will be fusing your Decovil Light or EBFuse Heavy pieces outside the seam allowances again. So you can fuse it 3/8 of an inch outside of the seam allowance for these pieces. If you're using foam, make sure you watch my tutorial that shows you what you will be doing to prep it for foam. But using Decovil Light or EBFuse Heavy is going to be much easier, trust me. Ask me how I know. So that'll be homework as well. Okay, flip it over and do the same on the opposite. So we got 2 of them. Okay, so that's my zip panels. So that is 2 exterior main panels. So let me know when you're done that. Oh, I'm also going to grab. I'll grab my here. Let me know when you're done. Any questions so far? Everything making sense? Diane's done. I'm trying to explain my thinking and the modifications. If anything is unclear, please do ask. And done. Okay. Next, we want to do our side gusset panels. So we want to draw out 2 of these. For my side gusset. And then we will talk connectors. It's going pretty fast so far. Hey, not too bad. Almost done the exterior now. The dogs are so quiet because Riley's home. This is so good. I think Coco's only said hi once. Another minute or so. Cynthia's done. Okay, so we have decision time for how we're going to be doing our connectors. Now you can do it as per the pattern, where it's an ingenious thing where she has this star type piece, a little more finicky to cut out. You didn't hear her the first time? She was very quiet. So the way it works for the original one is the center part. I actually cut it out that is actually your Decovil Light piece in there. So if you're doing her way, I'm going to explain how to do it now because it will be homework tonight, okay? So you would draw out 4 of these star type shapes. You would take your Decovil Light piece and you would fuse it in the center like so. You'd put some double-sided tape there in the middle, and then what you're going to do is you're going to fold all of these star pieces like so around that Decovil Light piece, sticking them in place with your double-sided tape. So then you're going to have a connector like so that has no raw edges, okay? So that's one way of doing it. You can decide if you're going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I like edge painting, as you know. So if you're going to be doing it this way, cut out 4 of these stars, and then for homework, you'll be putting in your Decovil Light and your tape and folding all of those in because we will need them for next class, okay? Now, I'm doing a raw edge style, so as you can see, all I did was take my pattern piece and I cut the center piece out of it. Now, I'm not going to cut these out just yet. I'm just going to cut a piece that is big enough to fit 4 of them. So I'm going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So this whole piece here will be big enough for 4 of them. And I'm just going to put connector overlay. And then once I have this cut out, what I will be doing for homework is I'm going to take this whole piece, this whole rectangular piece I've drawn out, and put Decovil Light onto the back. And then I will put my pattern piece down and I will cut them all out from that once I have that Decovil Light on. So it's just easier to cut a long piece to put your Decovil Light on. But the other way, you'll be cutting your Decovil Light to this shape and then using that to fold over your edges. So if you're doing like I am with a raw edge, you would put Decovil Light on that piece, cut out your overlay pieces, and then edge paint all edges. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Who's doing the star and who's going to do the raw edge like me? Ooh.
Hey Brandy, you've got a text
That would be
message.
my husband texting me. No, I just got the answer in 1 sec. You're doing raw edge like me? Did that make sense how I'm going to be doing that, Diane? Perfect. Cynthia, are you doing raw edge or are you going to do the star? Raw edge too? Okay. So that makes sense. So that'll be homework. You'll put your Decovil Light on the back of that piece, cut out your pieces, and edge paint it or what have you. Okay, perfect. Yay, so that's our vinyl connector overlays. Okay, and then the other things are, again, I'm going to just draw this out and cut it out later. For my lining pockets, you do whatever you like to do for your lining pockets. I'm going to do them as usual. You're going to do the star, Lexi? Did you understand what I said with the star? It's pretty easy, hey? Okay, so I'm going to cut this out
Hey Brandy,
later.
you've got a text message.
So I will be doing my usual zipper pocket overlay. But of course we don't need to leave an opening in the bottom when we do that. As well as I'm doing my slip pocket like I do them. I'm not doing them as per the pattern piece. I'm going to put in my slip pocket with decorative accent strip on it. So I'm drawing those out as well. So you guys do you with whatever you want to do for your lining pockets. This is different than the pattern. This is just how I like to do them. Once we have those all drawn out, we can go ahead and cut those out. Wow, and I used up the scrap. That's good. Trying really hard to use up my scraps. Really, really hard. So connectors are homework and interfacing is homework. Is anybody planning on doing foam for their interfacing, or is everybody going to do the fusible? If you have fusible foam, I would suggest cutting it out of the seam allowances. It'll just make things a lot easier. Trust me. Trust me, trust me.
Hey, Brandy, you've got a text message.
You guys are probably laughing at how my phone says, "Hey, Brandy, you've got a text message." I'm sure. And of course, straps are homework too, but you don't need them till the last class. You go to put them on. No foam? Good. It's hard for me to say no foam because I am a foam girl, but for the binding, I'm worried about thicknesses for some people's machines who are sensitive. And I mean, my machine struggled a little bit even, and it's an industrial, so there's my handles. Some scrap for a different day. Two side gussets. What am I looking for? Oh, my brain keeps shutting off. Holy moly. Oh, this is my zipper overlay piece I have to do. Zip overlay. Split pocket accent. Connectors. On bottom. Lining for. Connector piece. We need interfacing for that. So edge painting is also homework if you're doing it. Where are you, Mr. Overlay Piece? I've lost you. Where did you go? There you are. Alrighty. We're on to the lining. So let me know once you're there. Okay, what do we got here? Alrighty. Let me know when you're ready to go. Almost done. Get some scrap. That was smart of me. How's everybody making out? I don't even use this. Cynthia's done. What kind of binding is everybody planning on doing? And Diana's done. Is everybody doing waterproof canvas binding? I'm trying to remember how long I cut my binding. Let me see. Okay, Cynthia's doing bias. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how much binding I need. Okay. It's better to have too much than not enough. So the very first thing I'm going to do is actually cut my binding out of this, just so I have a nice straight edge to work with. And I am cutting my binding, and this is probably excess. I'm going to do it to the width of this at 48 inches-ish. If you're using bias tape, you have it all in one long stretch already. Now, I'm going to cut 2 strips at 1 1/4 inch by 58, or what did I say, 48-ish? 48? Oh my gosh. Oh, 47-ish inches. I think we only need like 42, but it's better to have too much than not enough. So I'm going to do that right away, and I'm going to cut them to 1 1/4 inches just to give us a little bit extra to go over those thick seams. I'm going to get that out of the way first. I'm just going to cut off my selvage first. There's my selvage. So 1 1/4 inches, 2 strips. If you're doing waterproof canvas. This 1 binding piece and 2 binding pieces. Just so we have it out of the way and we don't accidentally cut it to the point where it won't work. I'm going to make sure it's going to go around with a little excess. Okay, so I probably have quite a bit of excess. You can see there, if it goes around there, I probably have about 7 inches excess, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. So make sure you at least do it to 42 inches. I did mine to 47 inches. My bias tape done. Okay. Now I'm going to do it the fast way. I'm going to use my exterior pieces as my template, and I'm going to cut them both at the same time by folding this upon itself, wrong sides together. Again, if you're using directional fabric, make sure you're being very careful as to which way it is facing. And I'm going to do 2 main lining panels. I'm lying it down and then cutting around that. If you're using cotton for your lining, make sure you back it with a medium woven interfacing. I'm using canvas, so I don't have to worry about it. There we go. So if I did it right, I should have 2 lining pieces, and I do. Now, if you are using foam for homework, you would go ahead and you would baste foam to the back of these pieces. So if you are using foam, make sure you look at the video and see how we basted the foam on. But I strongly urge you to not use foam. Trust me. Okay, so that's the 2 main lining pieces done. Okay, now we need 2 lining zipper panels. And remember, this is the piece that in the pattern, the lining zipper panels are piece B. We are not doing that. We're cutting our lining zipper panels with pattern piece A, the same one we did with our exterior. So we need 2 of those. I am going to fold this up like so and cut out those 2 exterior zipper lining panels. I'm going to do them at the same time. Again, I have it on the fold here. I'm going to do a double fold. So I know I have enough here, double fold. And then I'm also going to take it, and on that fold, I'm going to fold it over again. If this is confusing, just cut them separate. So now I have a fold here and I have a fold here, which means I can cut them both at the exact same time. So put that along the fold. And cut it out. Okay, make sure it stays nice and even. And if I did that right, I should have 2 zipper panel pieces. And I do. Now, the zipper panel pieces, if you're doing foam, make sure you watch the tutorial to see what to do with that. But I think everybody is doing fusible stuff, so we should be good. How's everybody making out? I'm going to keep on going. All I'm using are my already cut out pieces as my templates. So even for this square piece, the bottom, I'm just going to lay it down and use it as my template to cut out my fabric. So this is my bottom lining. Lining always goes so much faster, I find. Bottom lining is done. And then we're going to do 2 zipper panels. So again, I'm just going to take my already cut out exterior and I'm going to cut them at the same time by folding this up on itself. So I have 2 layers, laying my piece down. I might have to recut that one out. I kind of cut the corner off. I'll fix that later. Laying it down and then cutting 2 at the same time. Let's see what I did here. I see, I just kind of cut a corner there. Okay. I can fix that. There we go. Fixed. So that is the 2 side gusset panels done. So we have done our main panels, 2 lining zip panels, our bottom panel, our 2 side gusset panels. I'm going to do my zipper pocket panel maybe out of this one. Yeah. So zipper pocket panel, you want to cut. I didn't cut out that pattern piece, but I'm just going to cut mine to at about 9 inches by 6-ish inches. It doesn't have to be exact for your zipper panel pieces, or use your pattern piece. My pattern piece is missing. So for my zipper lining a zipper pocket, you'll need 2 of those. And I think for my lining slip pocket, I'm actually going to use my friend's vinyl for that. I think that would be something really cool on the inside. I think that's what I'm going to do. Now the lining side of it will be upside down, but that's okay. But yeah, I think I'm going to make my zipper pocket or my slip pocket out of vinyl. Yeah. So we want to cut that 9 inches by 16 inches. So 9 inches wide. You can definitely do it in cotton though, it's up to you. But that's just something I think will look really cute. 9 inches, so that's 6. Oh, sorry, what am I doing? 9 inches by 12 inches is what I'm going to do for my interior slip pocket panel. I just think that's going to be super cute. But of course, one side, the lining side of it, like on the inside, is going to be upside down, but that's okay. Sometimes it's fun to make the slip pocket out of your exterior vinyl when it's a fun print. So yeah, so this will be my slip pocket will be like this, but on the opposite side, it'll be upside down. I could cut down the center, but nah. So that is my slip pocket panel. And besides stabilizer, that is it. We have it all cut out. Sorry, went really fast through the lining, but it's just kind of a repeat of what our exterior was. Any questions about anything? So pre-warning, I see this one being a 3-class bag. I don't think it'll take us the full 4 courses or 4 classes. But to be honest, we may need an extra class for the Descassau. I just cut out the Descassau and I'll be doing the tutorial tomorrow, so I will know more then. Yay! Any questions? We're still cutting. I bet we're still cutting. So again, homework, I'm going to mark it down here, is going to be interfacing, connectors, the connector overlays, and straps. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Just mark it down homework so I don't forget. All good? Perfect. Now, do the changes make sense that I had to do for the binding? If not, it's all going to make sense once we start sewing it up. So next week we will be doing the preparing the main panel. We will do one connector together, and we will do one overlay, the corner overlay together, and then the rest will be homework after that. And the majority of the class is going to be doing our zipper gusset and bottom panels. So the first hour will be showing how to do the stuff on the main panel. And then the second half will be doing the zipper and the gusset panel. And that'll be next week's class. And that should take an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'm sure. And then the following week, we'll probably be putting it together. That's how fast this is going to go together. Super fast. Lexi, if you have any questions about doing the star when you get to it, just shoot me a message. But it's pretty easy. Yay! So not bad, about an hour to cut out. Minus the interfacing, of course. Make sure again that you are cutting the interfacing on the main panels 3/8 of an inch outside of the seam allowances, or to a half. Actually, just do a 1/2 inch out of the seam allowances on everything to be safe. And your cotton pieces with a medium woven interfacing. Alrighty. Perfect. Yes. And if anybody has questions, or if somebody's catching this after the live, shoot me a message, shoot me an email. You know how to get a hold of me. And I said everything's linked down below on how to get a hold of me. And I'm more than willing to help out during the week, of course. Yay! I'm excited for this one. it's a fun one to make. It truly is. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for coming and cutting along with me today. I hope you had a good time. And make sure you check out the tutorial. It is posted to the members. Yay, Kim, I hope you can cut out with us on Thursday too. This was a quick class. This is a quick bag. The Thursday class, not so much. There's so many pieces for the Thursday class, and I was actually watching Joe's tutorial because there's a lot of new techniques for the Thursday class one. So I'll be doing the tutorial for that one tomorrow, and then I will know exactly how involved it is. But the how you doing, just like most of Jenny's patterns, super, super cute and easy to do. So all right, so yeah, reach out to me if you guys need anything, and I will see most of you on Thursday. If not, I will see you next week. Okay? Bye, everybody.